Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video we're going to be looking at the Ariel Arrow stroke leader engine. You know, the sort of one that I'm doing with Dean, if you haven't seen the previous video or two back. Yeah, so it was sitting outside in the bantam frame all covered up, but it started to rain, so I was feeling sorry for it. So I've brought it into the warm of the garage or workshop and yeah, starting to have a look at it, starting to tear into it. Okay, so that's what this is about. Oh yeah, and I had a little job to do for somebody. Yeah, I thought you might be interested in that. So there's that to look at as well. Okay, so down to the engine. So for those of you who didn't see a previous video, this is another project I'm doing in collaboration with Dean at Retro Mechanica. We both purchased a Ariel Arrow. I think this is the Arrow engine. To have a little fiddle with them, get them running, and possibly squeeze them in a bantam. Yeah, we were going to call them barrows. Quite a good name. But anyway, I've got it up on the bench. It's been sitting outside stuck in a bantam frame for a few weeks, but I felt sorry for it. So had a bit of a tidy up, and yeah, thought I'd show you around it. So I've got these bits in the box. I've got barrels, pistons, gudgeon pins and high compression heads for it. As you can see here, these are the high compression heads with the central spark plug and this sort of squish type pattern machined into the head. And also, yeah, like my bantam, one of the barrels has had something rattling around in it and been making funny patterns in the cylinder head. So yeah, something to look at, but we won't worry about it for now. So yeah, so that's the barrels, heads, pistons, gudgeon pins, circlips. There, yeah, all those bits and bobs are there. Needs new rings, new retaining rings for the gudgeon pins, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, so, and this is the main block of the engine. Now, the first thing I'd done was, rather than trying to sort of balance it around, it's quite an awkward thing to get to sit straight so you can work on it, and the manual shows that you normally leave it suspended in the bike and take it all apart with it hanging in the bike still, but unfortunately, well, fortunately, we don't have the rest of the frame to deal with. So yeah, interesting engine, sort of looks a bit pre-unit, sort of separate gearbox and engine, but then they've sort of cast it together as one piece, but then not closed in the gap, so you've got this big hole in the top that goes all the way through. Yeah, I don't know whether they've done it for cooling, or you know, whether BSA board were being really tight with money for development, or you know, money for materials, because you sort of look around it, you know, it's like the gear change lever. It's just a piece of flat steel shaped into a pedal shape, and you know, they've chrome plated it, but it's quite a nasty thing. Yeah, and the clutch lever is just a sort of twisted piece of flat bar, and then all the covers, cover for the I think the end of the clutch push rod, the adjuster must be in there, is just a sort of little domed pressing, and the cover for the alternator, that's another pressing, and the same on the other side. The points cover is a little sort of steel press top hat. The primary cover is quite nice on this one. Some of them are sort of steel plate, well, they've got covers, steel plate covers over them to hide a lot of this. But yeah, there's sort of some nice engineering going on. We've got sort of bushings here, steel bushings in the frame there and there, and corresponds over here. I'll take you around it in a minute, where the engine mounting bolts go through, and there's sort of bushings underneath as well. I'll show you that, take you around. Yeah, so nice sort of bits of engineering there, and then sort of all this sort of penny pinching going on. And we've got this strange thing here. Can you see? I thought it had a little dipstick. I thought, oh, that's handy. Checking the primary chain case oil, a little dipstick, and I was going to sort of did start to sort of put a little bit of weight on it, and then I saw it was sort of like a welded or brazed silver soldered joint down here, so I decided to leave it alone. And now looking at it, I think it's just a breather. for the primary, either for the back of the gearbox or the primary chain case. So yeah, good thing we didn't wrench on that. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, and then annoying things that annoy me. Bad design. Yeah, here the alternator wire comes out here, and it's right in line where the bloody screw is. You know, see, we've got to go underneath, or you know, over the top of it, forcing the wire down a bit. You know, whereas these are easy to get to. And you just think, why didn't you bring the cable out down here? One, to act as a drain, and two, so it sort of doesn't get in the way. Anyway, what do I know? I'm not a bike designer. So yeah, let's take you around it. So, as you can see, it's currently mounted in the vise, because like the Bantam and the Honda Express, I made engine mounts up for them that you can just bolt to them, and then you can just sit them in the vise, and they're a lot easier to work on. So yeah, I worked out my dimensions and cut 2 plates. Well, I cut 4 plates. I thought, well, as I was drilling 2, I might as well drill 4 and give a pair to Dino so he can make his own engine mounts. Yeah, I could have made him a whole engine mount as well, but you know, a man's got to stand on his own 2 feet occasionally. So yeah, so you can see it down there, down the hollow gap. There it is. Haven't painted it yet. 2 pieces of angle, as you can see, welded together, welded to the 2 plates that bolt to the bottom of the crankcases or engine cases. And it's really, as you can see, it's not going anywhere. And Dean and I have discussed it about, I said about making some engine mounting plates, some sort of angle brackets. I think I said on the previous video to make some angle brackets that would sort of go on the bottom of the engine cases here, and then at an angle go down and bolt onto the footrest mounting post on the frame of the Bantam, you know, sort of as a lower mount, and then using these mounts at the top and some plates, taking some of the plates off the Bantam frame and making some new plates to use these to locate the back of the engine. The engine was normally sort of bolted onto the pressed steel frames by these 2 fixings here, and hung down from the frame, coming down like this from this here. But this isn't really structural. Some people have used these engines in other bikes, and they cut this off and, you know, put a reed valve on and all that kind of thing. So I think supported here and under there, it's not going to go anywhere. And on the Ariels, these lower 3 studs on each side were for bolting the foot pegs on. So there's plenty of strength on these. That's why, you know, that's why it was hung from the frame up there, so you could sort of put your foot pegs on the bottom. So yeah, there you go. So looking round, you've got the alternator this side, primary chain case that side, points under, like I said, pressed steel top hat there, clutch there, all under there. Yeah, another bad bit of design. You've got these bolts here that are used, I think they're used on the Ariel arrow for, there's a plate that goes across, and I can't remember whether it sort of holds bits of bodywork fairing on or sort of, or horn. I can't remember without looking at the picture, not quite sure. But the trouble is, they're drilled right through into the crankcases. See? Yeah, so, you know, that's got to be a nice sort of tight, gas tight fit, you know, for a bit of Loctite. Otherwise you're losing a bit of your crankcase pressures. You know, what's the point of putting crank seals on them if you've got bloody holes up there? But there you go. What do I know? Not an engine designer. Yeah, so there we go. And the other thing I had with this, a little bit despondent, this engine didn't turn when I got it, but I put a load of Croil down the lubricating holes. There's sort of little troughs there that catch the 2-stroke, and run it down to the main bearings there and there. And yeah, after a few minutes and a little bit of persuasion, you have to sort of lever it one way or the other, because it always seems to stop at top and bottom dead centre, and it's a bugger to turn over. But as you can see, everything moves around, so that's good. So I was a bit worried I wouldn't be able to get it apart if those bearings were seized, you know, because you you split the crank from each side, from this side, and then draw one crank out this way and another crank out that way. But yeah, if your bearings were all seized up, you'd have a struggle getting it out. Anyway, what I was going to do was just take this off. Yeah, and unfortunately it's got a metric bolt on it. I know this already. Got told off for using my adjusters, so I'm going to get a 13mm spanner and get that off. Then get this cover off, and we'll just have a little look in here and see what's going on, because I want to see the sort of crank case covers, how to get to them. Also, I need to make a puller or an adapter puller to pull those out of the crank cases, and then I need to make another tool to hold the crank in position when you put an Allen key in the centre to undo the crank securing Allen bolt that joins the two crank halves together. So you need to lock the crankshaft so they don't spin round whilst you're trying to undo the Allen bolt in the end. So yeah, we'll just take this off. Got to take this off so we can get this cover off. Yeah, move my wiring out of the way. We'll have a little look inside. All right, and I'll put you somewhere comfortable. Okay, yeah, 13mm. Who knew? Right, now I've tried the gearbox. So yeah, the clutch works. Oh, it's late in the day, getting weak as a kitten. There you go. Clutch works, and the I'll spin the sprocket. It will go through the gears. There we go. Let's see if we can get this this off. There we go. Okay, and don't lose the official bolt. Oh, it's even a only thread all the way down as well. Horrors of horrors. Undo the 3 screws. Drop it on the workshop floor. And then you have to thread all this all the way out. What's it like? It's a Lucas, not a Y-pack, so I suppose that's a bonus. Some would say not. Has anybody been in here? There's a few rounded off. Yeah, spanners have been in here, you can tell, but it doesn't look too bad. There is some evidence of orange gasket on the primary chain case, but that's, you know, not surprising. Not sure about the gearbox, whether that's the original red stuff or whether someone's been in there a long time ago. I'm sure they have. Yeah, so press steel cover, handy pot, put the screws in. Sealy O-ring there, hold on to that. Yes, I know it's a chrome socket. If you haven't got one of these, get yourself one. Bloody marvel. There we go. There we go, it's just a bit, just needs wiggling out of there gently. There we go. Oh, it's bringing it all with it. That's good. I'll keep it all together and just make sure we don't lose a wood rough key if there's one there somewhere. Oh, right, I can tell you for now that the crankcase seals need changing. Right, there we go. One Lucas. Oh, later. Stick that down there. And yeah, crankcase. Oh yeah, no wonder the splines were a bit worn on the kickstart. Trying to get that started with crank seals like that. Okay, so that comes off like that. I'm showing you this side because it's easier, and don't lose the key. It's not even a wood rough key, no, it's just cheapy cheap, saves costs. Yeah, just sort of with an end mill, just run a slot in there. Anyway, does the job. What we got in there as well, little collar that the seal runs on. They'd put that back in. If it was like that when they put that seal in, and they just rip it to shreds. Seems a bit odd to have a crank seal and then an old, you know, this is old school like the Scott type of seal, and then another, you know, and then a seal around there, so it could still leak around there. How strange. Yeah. And those three nuts come off. Those two Phillips out. And then we need to find out what thread these holes are here. That one there, and we can put a puller with 2 bolts going into there and a bar, and then press on here, and it should press this. Once I've undone this, press this end plate off the crankcase. .3/8. Oh, there we go. 3/8. So we've got a decent Allen key to get that undone. It's quite deep. How far you got to go? We'll get an Allen socket to get that out. Well, there you go. That's a little look into the Ariel Arrow engine. And there we'll stop for now, because like I say, I've got to sort out a puller to go on here to reveal that. So we'll do all that next time. Okay, what else we got? So that's the Ariel so far, and I've done my domestic chores by sticking new magnets on the fridge magnets. So we can move on to the next project. Here we go. So here's a little job I'll take you along with. Got this swing arm here, and wheel down there, and a couple of brake plates here. Now it sort of puzzled me a bit at first, because I didn't think I had all the bits I needed to work out how to do the job, because I've got swing arm, back wheel, no bevel drive. And then it sort of suddenly dawned on me, happened to be talking to somebody else on the phone when I looked at it, suddenly realised this is a front forks for a BMW, the old sort of leading link front suspension they have on the had on some of the earlier bikes in the sort of 50s, 60s, and yeah, the Germans used to like them, especially for sidecar outfits. So yeah, you see there, got a book here that came with it, just sort of for a few little pointers. Yeah, bit of history there, look. Gus Kahn Motors, well known for purveyors of BMW motorcycles. So it's had the wheel relaced. Unfortunately, this is a job through somebody else, so I can't talk directly to the guy, which is always annoying, but there you go. So it's a front wheel, looks like it's had an earlier hub put on it, or it's an earlier hub, don't know about the rim. Anyway, this is an early style hub. This is a sort of slightly later style hub for a leading link front suspension, and you've got this casting on the plate that goes in this slot here. Yep, rather than having a torque arm. This is for the telescopic front end, so there'd be a torque arm from here to the forks to stop the brake twisting, and then this one's held in the leading link forks like that to stop it moving. So the plan is, I think he's got an older style BMW, but he's putting a bigger engine, later engine in it, and it must have tellies on it, and he wants to put leading links on it. And I should imagine these plates and the leading link stuff are quite difficult to get hold of in the UK, because they weren't. A few of them had them, but the bikes were really expensive, so there wasn't many sold. and the English bike buying lot are quite a conservative lot and probably went for tellies as an option rather than leading links. Yeah, so yeah, here's a picture of the leading links. Have a look, see if we can find some for you. There you go, prime example. The leading links there on a sidecar outfit. Yeah, so I think the plan is he wants this converted to this sort of style, doing away with the torque arm. But there's a few little issues. One is it's a very nice casting, you know, lightweight, all braced. Yeah, lovely bit of casting. Unfortunately, there's very little meat to it. There's no thickness to it at all. So what I was hoping to do was be able to mill, you know, a nice flat piece around here and mill around here, so I could mill a block of aluminium out of this and then just sort of drop that on and then weld all around it, weld it in and blend it in. But no, it's so thin. What I'm going to have to do is shape out the back of this so it's over, and need to shape it so it sits sort of, you know, flat against here. Not too worried if it's sort of at a slight angle till we've welded it up, and then I can machine this profile onto it. So yeah, bit of a puzzle. Now he wanted this hole, it's a drain hole here, facing downwards. But, see, this is the trouble. See, on the photo here, on this one, which is the genuine style, actually I think that's slightly later, because you look at the plates there, the earlier ones are very plain, the later ones have this sort of dishing, and they've got a bit of a lip on the outside, whereas the earlier one, you know, doesn't have the lip on the outside. So I think that's a slightly later one. So the hole's at the bottom, but then the trouble is, if you line this one up, the hole at the bottom, the brake shoe shaft, mounting shafts are, you know, they're not perfectly in line with the centre hole of the lathe, and you know, at right angles to this hole, they sort of kick slightly up a bit. Yeah, this is slightly up. But my concern is these two holes, which are the holes for the operating shafts for the brake arms. And if I have that facing downwards, you can see this back hole is a lot higher up than this one. You know, so you got the forks here, forks there, it sort of sits underneath the forks like there, and then under, you know, and above there you've got, looks like part of the shock absorber and a bit of shroud. See if we can find a picture of it. Yeah, there's a bit of a part of the mudguard stay comes down, so you don't want this tucking up behind and sort of fouling with any of that. Yeah, so we need to be aware of that. So this hole might need to be slightly forwards. It's a drain hole. I don't know whether you get that much water in it. And again, the casting is so thin. If it was thicker, you could just, you know, put a milling cutter in there and just move the inner position for the drain hole further along, so that water would still drain out even with it at a slight angle like that. That's something to mill over. So yeah, this is the job anyway. So we're going to sort of be doing this, but I've got to pop the wheel in the swing arm with this back plate. I've checked the clearances on this bearing surface and this bearing surface on this plate. So that depth and that depth with this flange around it are sort of both the same. And when I measure these brake operating rods and when this is in the hub like this. I think this is the correct hub for this front brake drum, like that. Although it seems to rub when you've actually got it on the spindle and bolted up. Yeah, it's really close fitting, but when it's all square that doesn't actually rub on the hub. But yeah, measuring down these brake shoe mounting shafts sort of fall within the brake band there, so that's okay. So I need to sort of mount this all together, pop it in this swing arm, bolt it up and measure it and make sure it's sitting in the middle, and if not, work out how I'm going to sort of space it. Well, it'll be from this side, so it will allow me to work out the measurements of how thick this new piece I'm putting on comes out this way to put the wheel in a central position. So yeah, lots to do, interesting job, but we'll make a start. So, had to machine up a block, make a little block for it. Then put the brake plate in the lathe, turn down the nose of it, drilled out the block that I was going to put on, so it was a nice sort of tight fit onto the hub. And then had to machine a bit away so it'd sit down flat over the casting against the rest of the brake plate, but as you can see it sort of curves in all directions, so I had to do a bit of machining, a bit of filing, a bit of grinding till it sort of sat nice square and flat onto the brake plate, where I could then move it over to the welding station. The radius on it, I just scribed that out and then cut the corners off with a hacksaw and then finished it off with files and emery cloth to get the sort of radius profile on the end. We don't want it engineering perfect because it's sort of trying to reproduce a casting, so yeah, that'll do it quite nicely. Going to do it this way. The chap wanted this drain hole at the bottom, so you know, customer is always right. I'll just double check it with a set square before I start off. Got this clamping stud running through and just a sort of block of aluminium on the back just to spread the load a bit, try and keep the distortion down. And like some of my other aluminium welding, just going to sort of preheat the piece first before we start welding it, just to get some heat into it first, to try and avoid, you know, distortion. I'm sure you'll get a bit. It's sort of unavoidable really, but if we can minimise it, that'll be good. So yeah, just need to go on weld this and see what this welds like. Yeah, didn't go too bad, but as always said with these old castings, even though it had all been, I don't know, vapor blasted or bead blasted, and looked really clean, yeah, there was still rubbish that came out right at the last minute. But we managed to control it pretty well, and not perfect, but yeah, a darn sight better than the picture he sent me of an example where somebody else had done it. Jeez, what a horror show. Anyway, they had a go. Yeah, so with that done, I had to machine the flats onto it so it slipped into the slot on the swing arm. But before I could finish the job, the wheel spindle he gave me must have been off of a bike with telescopic forks, and it was longer. It was about 9mm longer. So I had to sort of machine it down and, you know, cut more thread on it further down so that it would go through. And also the wheel had a sort of dust seal on the outside bearing seal, and the new spindle was a smaller diameter. You know, it'd go against the bearing, but didn't have a shoulder to bring it up to size to rest on the dust seal. So I had to machine the spindle, machine it down a bit and further along, and then turn up a stainless steel bush to slide over the spindle, and that would run in that dust seal, keeping all the muck out. Yeah, and then put it all back together and then give it back to him and get it out of my workshop. Keep tripping over the thing. So yeah, so that's that. Look out, Jenkins! Yeah, like Purdy. Yeah, I know. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Short one this time. Well, shorter. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. If you're an old hack, welcome back. As I say to all the new ones that come along, go back on the library. There's loads of old nonsense you can go and look at there. Keep you amused till the next video comes out, and I'll see you again. So if you liked it, give us a little like and hit subscribe and comment and all that, and help the channel, etc, 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 blah-de blah-de. All right, and I'll see you next time. All right, cheerio. What's that, Purdy? New Avengers, Jenkins. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video, and then I had another. Did I press record?